When it comes to xenophobia in South Africa, I think me and the government of the Republic of South Africa, me and the international community are saying slightly different things. They are pointing to the unemployment rate in South Africa being chronically high as of 2026 at about 34%. That is plenty unemployment. Many people are jobless, cannot earn an income to support themselves and provide some comfort to themselves. I am pointing to Mfecane tribalism as the roots of the culture of xenophobia in South Africa. And that's where I want to confine or focus my blame without indicting, pronouncing charges against anyone at this point. But if they keep pushing, then we are left with no choice but to stop hitting around the bush and just tell it like it is, so we can avert the worst. That's what they seem not to understand, that this excitement will force us to formalize our argument eventually. Let me say why I don't want to keep hearing about something that I fully understand. There are many undocumented people in South Africa. I know that. There are many people who do crime who are not South African citizens or who are not documented, people in the shadows. I know that. There is plenty unemployment in South Africa. I know that very well. But I also want to tell you, when and during the years of the presidency of His Excellency, my dear Uncle Thabo Mbeki, South Africa had wiped out its debt completely. We have no debt. We're not strangled by anyone. We don't owe any monies to any government or bank or private club anywhere in the world. Up till today, this is 2026, South Africa has no debt, national debt that we speak of in the news. We don't hear anything of that sort. Many, many countries around the world have that problem. And they have much lower unemployment than we do in South Africa. The problem of unemployment in South Africa is the government that is not creative, a government that was crippled, handicapped by its personnel being so addicted to foreign aid, solidarity aid, that left South Africans at a disadvantage in that we are not aware of how hard people have to work outside of South Africa to make it. That aid has handicapped many South Africans in the process, then created a culture of corruption because people are so used to getting things mahala, free. Most of my people, we South African people, lack mental stamina in that what crosses our minds very first time is what we are going to implement or what is going to come out of our mouths. That's wrong for an adult, a grown-up person to do. That's okay for children. That's what children do. Say whatever they think. Quite initially, I want to, show my respect to the African National Congress, my organization, my political home, if I had one, my mother and father, in truth, the African National Congress, aka ANC, for humbling ourselves itself before the international community to reach out for help over this xenophobia problem in South Africa. Problem with xenophobic episodes, flare-ups, attacks every so often. So we are thankful for that, at least. That's the start. It's a good start. Look, I don't want to get any more sensitive than that, really, when we are trying so hard to stay away from issues of ethnicity in South Africa, because this xenophobia is very much an issue of ethnicity, what the Western world would call tribalism. I'm very weary of that. because things just go off the rails if we should keep on. There seems to be a disconnect between the government of the Republic of South Africa, the Pan-Africanist agenda of the South African government, which is correct and true, and the day-to-day push and shove, give and take between ordinary people of South Africa, street people at the street level, and I'm speaking about black South Africans most especially, because that's where the problem is. Yes, the government of South Africa is very generous, has been generous from the very start, where migration, immigration, most especially from Africa, is concerned. That is correct and true. But the government of South Africa is very wary of considering xenophobia in South Africa might have its roots or its origins perhaps in tribalism. The true roots and origins of xenophobia, the true anatomy, biology, DNA, genetics of xenophobia in South Africa lie in ethnic problems, the need for ethnic domination by one group over another. It's an attempt to recreate Mfecane in the 21st going 22nd century, which are processes that were interrupted by apartheid. So we have some issues that were not resolved during Mfecane. Let me give you an anecdote that might paint a picture. One time I was in a shared transport, which they call taxi in South Africa, like a shuttle, little combi bus. And I was with my brother-in-law, Clifford, who happened, he's late, he passed on, from Zimbabwe. And we were speaking Shona, which is the dominant language in Zimbabwe, in a taxi in Soweto, Johannesburg, South Africa. And as we are going on speaking, he's seated by the window and I'm seated next to him. A woman looked at us and just displayed all manners of disrespect, disparaging remarks and gestures of all sorts. Just ugly, simply because he spoke Shona and I was responding in Shona with him. Clearly, this woman had no idea whether Clifford was documented or not. She just had a problem with him speaking Shona. That's xenophobia. Anecdote number 2. When we were exiled South Africans in Morogoro in Tanzania, East Africa, we were so mixed and we spoke all kinds of languages. That's why I speak so many languages all at the same time. Some spoke Portuguese, Sotho, Tswana, Zulu, Venda, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, on and on. Afrikaans at times. And much later on, while we were exiled South Africans in Morogoro in Tanzania, East Africa, we had a group, a huge, sizable contingent from KwaZulu, fresh from KwaZulu. Oh no, things went quite bad after that. We had the children or the group that spoke Nyanja, just Chinyanja, which is a language that is predominant or dominant in Zambia, because half their parents are Zambian. Their mothers or fathers were Zambians and half were South Africans. That's why they were in the school of the ANC, of the South Africans in exile. Things went very, very, very drastically wrong after we received a contingent, a group from KwaZulu, raw, fresh, right out of KwaZulu. And then come out of that with all kinds of venom against the group that spoke Chinyanja. And they just split the dormitory in more than 2. I think you get the idea of where I'm going with this.